Hey guys, Brian Furlong with Diamond Dreams Academy. Just dropping by with a quick video going over our Diamond Performance Model. Our Diamond Performance Model is made up of 6 components: skill development, athletic development, equipment selection, mental skills performance, behavior management, and game IQ. Skill development is the development of movement patterns and biomotor skills. Um, we're looking to create muscle memory and quality movement habits. We're going to build this through repetition and deep practice. Deep practice is essentially what occurs during a private lesson where the athlete is put into a state of focus and concentration. They're given the opportunity to get a lot of repetition, and then we use feedback. The instructor will give them feedback on their movements, and then the athlete will work to improve the movement, and it's kind of an ongoing process for either, generally a 30 to 60 minute session. That's basically how movements and skills are learned and developed. Athletic development is something new that we've recently added to our menu of services. All good athletic development programs are going to include an evaluation and an assessment, strength and power training, energy system development. We're going to work to educate on recovery, nutrition, and regeneration. All programs should have an emphasis on balance and stability, flexibility, mobility, speed, agility, and quickness. These are all things that are extremely important in the sports that we train for at Diamond Dreams. For years, we've wanted to get into the athletic development field, primarily just because it complements what we do on the skill development side so well. There's so often that we have athletes that come through and we're working to help them, build better skills. And really, what it comes down to is, in order to really see good, big increases in these skills, first they need to learn how to become better athletes, whether it's they need to get stronger, they need better balance, or a lot of times, you'll see kids with flexibility issues. This really helps kind of complete our optimum performance model. Equipment selection, highly important aspect of the performance model. Number one is just getting the proper size of equipment in the athlete's hands, whether that's a bat or a glove. It can have a tremendous impact on their performance. Next, you've got appropriate accessories, and with this one, we're really kind of thinking on the safety side of things. A couple years ago, we had an individual training at our facility who had a heart condition and needed help locating a protective chest pad in case they were ever, hit with a ball in the chest. So, those are things that we'll work with people on. And then we're also always just trying to, help educate both athletes and parents, coaches, on different equipment considerations. Technology is constantly changing. There's some big changes this year with the bats in the baseball industry. Price and value. We just want to make sure people have an understanding of what they're getting for what they're paying for, and then we also want to educate players on how to use and take care of the equipment that they make the investment in. Mental skills performance is one of the most important aspects of our performance model. We try to weave some mental skills performance work into our private and group lessons, our camps, and we're working towards putting together programs that are specific to mental skills performance. Every player that comes through our academy, number one, we want them to have a positive attitude in both their practice, and then also obviously in game situations. We'd like players to be self-motivated, making sure that they have sort of an inner drive. They're not doing things for anyone other than themselves and their own personal development. We work to help people with goal setting. We help people with concentration and focus, again, in game situations as well as practice situations. We use a lot of positive mental imagery, and then emotional management is something that is so important in the sports that we train for. Baseball and softball are both, they're sports of failure. They're games of failure where, if you're succeeding 3 out of 10 times, you're considered to be one of the best. You really have to understand how to manage your emotions and not let that negatively affect your performance on the diamond. Behavior management. This is something that you don't necessarily think about when you think about performance, but it's something that's extremely important. Um, Effective interpersonal interactions in game situations, in practice situations. This is something that's really going to help. That's a skill that's really going to translate on and off the field. Development of positive habits. We want our individuals to, develop these habits again, both on and off the field, making sure that they're doing things the right way. It's not just, you know, uh, something that you turn on and off. It's kind of, that the idea of always doing things the right way, and good things will happen from there. A growth mindset is something we'd like to instill in all of our athletes, just helping them understand that no matter what experiences they're going through, whether they're positive or negative, they're going to have an impact on their athletic and personal development. So, a lot of times, some of the best growth and improvement comes from failure. Behavioral management theorists kind of talk about behavior change occurring as either a result of inspiration or desperation. Either an athlete was inspired to work harder and drive themselves to do better, or they're driven by desperation. They've got to hold on to a spot, so they've got to work harder. We obviously try and work more within that inspiration side of things. We're not trying to create pain in our athletes, but we want to make sure that they're getting everything they can out of themselves. Game IQ. This is something that baseball players are often criticized for, especially right now. People believe that this is the first generation of baseball academy players, meaning players who grew up being taught by professionals and getting tons of great repetition and all that. And kind of the knock on them is they're, very fundamentally sound. They can perform on command, but they don't necessarily have that game IQ. Whereas players maybe in the 80s and the 90s learned in baseball academies, players in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and even earlier than that kind of learned just by playing in backyards, playing in alleys, kind of that sandlot baseball mentality. So, we really work hard to ensure that our athletes have good, solid game IQ. That's just, having an understanding of the game's rules, game strategy, skill strategy, a history of the game. Having an understanding and appreciation of what's come before you is important if you're going to really understand where you're going to go within the game. And then, of course, you've always got position-specific knowledge, and this is kind of some of the nuances that we might work with some of our more skilled players or higher level players, players who are in high school, players who are possibly going to move on to the next level. So those are some of the considerations that we'll work with them on. Just kind of a summary of our diamond performance model. The goal is always long-term development of the complete player, by working in every aspect of performance. And I say long-term development. I use this line a lot. Just telling kids, hey, I'm not trying to make you the best 11-year-old baseball player there ever was. I'm trying to give you the tools so that you're able to play the game as long as you want, injury-free, and walk away in your own terms, something that most people aren't able to do. So we're not going to ever compromise long-term development, by focusing on a short-term goal. So that's the bottom line with our performance model here. The training systems that we've designed are specifically set up to accomplish players' goals. And in a future video, we're going to go over some of the different training services we offer, and we'll discuss kind of how they fit into an individual's plans and goals and kind of their development path. Over the last couple of years, we've toyed around with quite a few different programs, just different ways of doing things, and I think we're kind of starting to settle on, okay, this is what we really truly believe is the best way to develop, youth athletes, junior high and high school athletes. So, an implementation of the proper systems is absolutely necessary to achieve these goals. The key is finding the right systems or the right set of programs for your individual needs or goals. Not everyone, has the same amount of time to put towards a certain sport. Not everyone has the same desire. So you really want to make sure that you're evaluating your own personal situation and then making choices based on that. So that's it for our overview of Diamond Performance Model. We'll be back with a video kind of going over some of the different systems that we have in place and how to utilize those systems to accomplish your players' goals.